Johan Santana and Felix Hernandez are two sides of the same coin. They're far and away the two most valuable Venezuelan pitchers in Major League history, and their time in the majors followed an eerily similar arc. Despite their careers overlapping for 8 seasons, they only ever faced off head-to-head twice. And in their second matchup, they created the most unlikely, improbable, and unimaginable moment in MLB history. A lot of you guys already know what I'm talking about, and a few of you were probably at this game. But before we get to that moment, I have to contextualize the careers of both stars involved. Johan Santana's path to the majors was anything but traditional. Astro scout Andres Reiner originally noticed him as a high school center fielder in a tournament in Venezuela. Enamored with his speed and arm strength, Reiner prepared to travel across the country to find the future star's home. Reiner loved his arm speed. He loved it enough to sign Santana to the Astros organization as a pitcher once he turned 16. Even then, it didn't immediately click for Johan on the mound. He struggled for 3 years in the lower minors. In 1999, the Marlins picked him in the Rule 5 draft and immediately traded him to Minnesota. As a Rule 5 draft pick, Santana had to stick on Minnesota's Major League roster for the entire 2000 season if they wanted to keep him. This meant that he jumped directly from Single A to Major League Baseball during MLB's highest run-scoring environment of all time. It went about as well as you'd expect. He made 5 starts and 25 relief appearances, mostly as a mop-up guy. The Twins were bad in 2000, winning just 69 games. But with Johan on the mound, they went 2-28, and his numbers were predictably awful. For some reason, the Twins started him on their opening day roster again in 2001 without developing him in the minors at all. Multiple injuries limited him to just 15 appearances, and he still wasn't great. Santana finally got some time in the high minors in 2002, time he spent perfecting what ended up being his signature changeup. Santana was recalled on May 31st for a start, and he never looked back. He spent the rest of 2002 and 2003 between the Twins' bullpen and rotation, and he was really damn good. He finished 7th in Cy Young voting in 2003, including a red-hot August, where he won AL Pitcher of the Month. Johan did enough in 2003 to earn the Game 1 start against the Yankees in the ALDS.
24 years old, the first time he has started a postseason game, and it's right here in New York.
Santana got through 4 shutout innings in the Twins' victory.
And he struck him out again, going out of the strike zone, and Giambi chased.
But he got shelled in his second start, a Game 4 series-clinching loss. Although it ended poorly, 2003 was just a taste of what was about to come. He ascended to best pitcher in baseball territory in 2004. On the path to his first Cy Young, Santana led the American League in ERA, ERA+, strikeouts, FIP, WHIP, and WAR, all while pitching a career-high 228 innings. For a second consecutive year, the Twins faced off against the Yankees in the ALDS, and Santana again got the ball for Game 1. The AL Cy Young bust down the door of Yankee Stadium and shoved for 7 shutout innings on the way to the Twins' Game 1 victory. He marched into the Bronx and shut down what was probably the best lineup in baseball. But just like in 2003, the Twins lost their next 2 games, including a gut-wrenching 12th inning choke in Game 2.
Jones, here comes Jeter. The throw, cut off, the relay, 3! The Yankees win!
Putting Santana's back against the wall for Game 4. But he shoved again, striking out 7 and only allowing a run through 5 innings. Johan left Game 4 with a 4-run lead. But again, the Twins' bullpen couldn't hold.
He masters it. There it goes, deep right center, and this game is tied up!
They lost the game and the series in the 11th. In Santana's 4 playoff appearances against the Yankees, the Twins won 2 games and lost 2 games. The Minnesota Twins' playoff record in all other games against the Yankees is 0-14. Santana's next 3 seasons with the Twins solidified him as the best starter in baseball. Remember how he led the AL in almost every pitching stat in 2004? Well, he nearly did it again in 2005. He lost out on the ERA crown by 100th of a run to Kevin Millwood, who pitched about 40 innings less. But don't worry, he got that one back in 2006, leading the league in all of those stats again, and this time adding innings pitched to that list. Santana finished 3rd in Cy Young voting in 2005, in a race that he definitely deserved to win. He won his 2nd Cy Young in 2006 and finished 5th in voting in 2007. 2007 was Santana's worst season as a full-time starter for the Twins, but it's also when he threw the very best start of his Twins career. On August 19th, Johan struck out 17 Rangers in 8 shutout innings, setting the Twins' single-game strikeout record that still stands to this day.
Number 17!
He generated 32 whiffs by throwing nearly all fastballs and changeups, and Twins fans even booed Joe Nathan when he jogged in for the save in the ninth. Johan's game score of 95 was the highest of his career. Had he gotten back out for the ninth, he would have had a chance at a historic 20 strikeout game. But despite Johan's best efforts, the Twins fell out of a wildcard chase in September and decided it was time to retool. Knowing that he was set for a massive extension, they traded Santana to the Mets for a haul of prospects. That start in August, arguably the best start of his career, left Twins fans with one final moment to remember. What most fans probably don't remember is the game he pitched one start prior. On August 13th, Johan and the Twins were in Seattle, and they faced off against the other subject of this video, a 21-year-old pre-coronation Felix Hernandez. But first, I can't wait to get to Yankee Stadium to watch my favorite last place train wreck. That's right, today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, from concerts to festivals and of course, ball games. I actually first used the app myself on MLB opening weekend this year. I was in Houston for the Final Four and decided to check out an Astros game while in town. Welcome to the Astrodome. The app I used to use didn't allow me to complete my transaction, so I went over to SeatGeek, saw a big green dot on field level, and made the order. I've been using SeatGeek ever since. With MLB in full swing, you're not going to want to miss out. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, so they have you covered for all of your baseball needs. Plus, artists like Post Malone and Drake on tour. SeatGeek puts all the tickets from across the web in one place and rates them from 1 to 10 so you can find the best deal. Just look for the green dots. And you know I'm coming through for the boys. Use my code ATB for $20 off tickets on SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code ATB. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Thanks. Felix Hernandez was already in his third quality MLB season at the age Johan was getting knocked around as a Rule 5 pick. He was a much more traditional prospect. Mariners scouts spotted him in a tournament in Maracaibo, about 7 hours north from where Santana grew up. The difference was Hernandez was already a dominant pitcher, touching the low 90s at just 14 years of age. Seattle offered him a $700,000 signing bonus the second he turned 16. At just 17 years old, Felix began his torrent through the minors, and he was promoted all the way to the show just a few months after turning 19. He struck out 11 batters in his third career start, and was immediately the best pitcher on the team. Hernandez was the ace of a major league rotation at the same age Santana was struggling in A-ball.
The Mariners have gone down to a little town called Valencia, Venezuela, and they have found themselves a gem.
The first matchup between Hernandez and Santana was fairly mundane. Both starters turned in solid performances, with the Mariners blowing the game the second Felix exited before winning on a walk-off Richie Sexton blast. Although Hernandez finished with a more impressive line, it wasn't quite the passing of the torch yet. He was a good starter, but Santana was still the best. In 2008, Santana settled in nicely to his role as the Mets' new ace. On the year, he'd pitch into the 6th inning in all but 2 starts, lead the NL in innings and ERA, and finish 3rd in Cy Young voting. This was the 4th time in 5 years where he arguably deserved the award. Tim Lincecum was a deserving recipient, but Santana definitely deserved at least a 2nd place finish. The defining matchup between our two subjects took place during this season, but we'll wrap back around to that in a bit. While he still had some good years left in his left arm, Santana's reign as the best starter in baseball wound down during the next 2 seasons. In 2010, it was undoubtedly King Felix who usurped the title. Hernandez came an out shy of 250 innings, led the league with a 2.27 ERA, and won his first Cy Young award despite his 13-12 record, which was almost unthinkable before this vote. Santana missed all of 2011 with labrum surgery in his throwing shoulder, and Hernandez had a bit of a down year by his standards, but both stars made history in 2012. On June 1st, coming off a complete game shutout in his previous start, Johan Santana etched his name into the Mets history books.
And Santana with a great changeup strikes him out.
During the year the Mets turned 50, Santana threw over 130 pitches for fans to see something that they'd never seen before.
And a fly ball deep left field. Back goes Baxter onto the track. He makes the catch! What a play! And Baxter may be hurt. He struck him out!
His no-hitter is probably the greatest start in Mets history. Just 10 weeks later, King Felix followed suit, pitching the greatest game in Mariners history.
Down goes Longoria. First strikeout this afternoon for Felix Hernandez. Here's a pitch up. Got him! Pitch. Hey, struck him out! 16 up, 16 down. Say goodnight! Strike 3 call! Felix Hernandez, perfect through 6. Hey, struck him out! Strikes out the side! The Seattle Mariners, Felix Hernandez, the 2-2. He got him! 34 years, 119 games. It's finally happened. A perfect game by a Seattle Mariner. It was done by the King.
His perfect game is his signature moment. It was the last perfect game in MLB for over a decade, and it further solidified his legacy across this era of baseball. He was still just 26 years old, and had already accomplished so much that it looked like he was a Hall of Fame lock. 2 days after his perfect game, Johan Santana made his last appearance on a major league mound at just 33 years old. Shoulder and ankle injuries over the next 3 years halted numerous comeback attempts, all while King Felix's reign continued. Hernandez arguably had his best season in 2014, throwing 236 innings with a 2.14 ERA, a league best whip, and a 1.70 ERA+, all better marks than Corey Kluber, who won the AL Cy Young by a handful of votes. From 2016 on, King Felix wasn't quite the same. Hernandez's ERA rose close to a full run over each of his last 4 seasons, and just like Santana, he threw his last pitch at 33 years of age. Overlaying their ERA and WAR by age, it's easy to see just how similar they really were. Their accolades, single-game heroics, and legacy during a very similar era of baseball make it almost impossible to mention one without thinking about the other. But none of that is the reason that they will be linked in baseball history until the end of time. Their second head-to-head matchup happened when Johan was still the best and King Felix was about to be the best. Since the game was in Queens, Hernandez got a rare opportunity to swing the bat. Felix had been primarily a pitcher for about a decade by this point. In all likelihood, the only time he swung a bat at all in that span was during his 9 prior major league plate appearances, which resulted in 6 strikeouts, a bunt single, and a sac bunt. Thanks to an error by David Wright, Hernandez threw on his helmet to face the best pitcher on the face of the earth.
San Diego. And sends a drive to deep right center field. Get out the rye bread and mustard grandma, Felix Hernandez. My, oh my, unbelievable.
What are the odds of these two facing off and this being the result? The top 2 Venezuelan pitchers, who combined for 3 Cy Young Awards and 9 top 5 Cy Young finishes, combined for 5 ERA crowns in an 11-year span, and each pitched the greatest start for the only 3 clubs they ever pitched for, are defined as a duo by a grand slam. It happened in the same park where Kudai Sung ripped a double off Randy Johnson. It happened in the same park where Esteban Yan homered on the first of just 5 pitches he'd see as a hitter during his career. The same park where the Miracle Mets won a World Series title against all odds. The same park that hosted ball games for just 3 more months before being replaced.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your support over the years and for being part of today's Shea Goodbye closing ceremonies.